mind. All right. Need some chapstick. It's cold over here in San Antonio, and we took our girl on, especially on Halloween. It was so cold, it was windy, and I kept on licking my lips, and now my lips are ridiculously chapped. So I'm gonna have to keep on using my Carmex. Dimension 1 is all about, or dimension 1.1, I should say, deals with planning, the what we do before the student enters the classroom, all of the things that we take into consideration in order to make effective instruction for students. That takes a lot of thought. So dimension 1.1 deals with standards and alignment. You designing clear, well thought out, organized, sequential lessons that reflect best practice, that align with our standards, which mean it aligns with the TEKS, and that are appropriate for diverse learners. That means appropriate for all students, whether they're special ed, whatever their language proficiency is, whether they are an at-risk student or not. And so we looked at the different, the way in which these graphics are set up. You see that distinguished, which is the height of, expert teaching, is at the end of student-centered actions. It lives in student-centered instruction, where you are not the focus, but the students and their participation is what is most important. And then the teacher that needs the most improvement, in the improvement needed section, everything is going to be very teacher-centered. Like, it's just to suit the needs of the instructor, and not much thought or forethought was put into the planning or the implementation of instruction. So we took a look at different markers in this alignment standard. But since we did that one, I want to move on a little bit to, this is still 1.1. Rigorous, measurable, good stuff. 1.2, data and assessment. How are you gathering information? How are you going to gather information about your students? And if you'll see, we're just going to do the two tail ends. And those are going to be the worst examples and the best examples, right? Distinguishes the sort of the best, the height of really attentive, proactive planning and instruction for your students. In the distinguished section, again, it's all student-centered actions. Instruction and planning would include formal and informal assessments that monitor the progress of your student throughout the lesson. Those things have to be thought of beforehand. And the video that we're going to take a look at in a little bit, I'm going to want for you to be thinking about these different areas. Right now, we're going through the rubric. And it's the way in which that we're all assessed. All teachers are assessed in the state of Texas. They're going to go through and they're going to look at these particular dimensions. There are domains in another sense, right, for the PPR exam, but this is talking about in practice. They're called dimensions, and you'll have the different dimensions of your assessment, and they will label you as a needed improvement in this area, developing, proficient, accomplished, and distinguished. Again, going from the needing the most help because it's all about you and it's very teacher-centered, to the amazing distinguished educator that it's not about them at all. It's all about the students, what they need. Okay, guys, let's mute ourselves. Let's mute ourselves if we're not muted right now, and I'll let you know when to unmute. Okay, good deal. So you're thinking of these things, and you have to be specific. And in order to be specific and timely, you have to have it planned out beforehand. What am I going to ask them? When am I going to ask them this? How am I going to follow up? And while you're teaching, you have to give substance specific and timely feedback to the students, to families, to personnel. But for the purposes of instruction, timely communication, timely feedback is so very important to being a responsive instructor, meaning you're responding to the needs of the minute, hour, day, whatever it may be. And then you're utilizing that information to sort of drive your instruction, to make particular instructional decisions, bring in a particular strategy. So we're not just assessing and collecting data just to have grades in a grade book. It's all about finding the information that's necessary to make sure that our students are getting what they need. And if not, that we're able to bring in things that will help support that. On the sort of deficient end of instruction, it's very, you can see, it's very thin. Few formal and informal assessments are present, and you can tell. We're going to watch a video and you will be able to tell, and I'm going to ask you guys to think of these things. I want for you to think of, did you see any types of assessment, formal or informal? I know that you're going to see them because I've watched it myself, and I'm hoping that you guys will even find the littlest, most informal ones and say, she's still assessing them right now. Yes, she is. Few opportunities for timely feedback to the students or family. We're not going to see family here. We're just going to see students, but you'll be able to see that she gives that responsive feedback. Dimension 3, knowledge of the students. You knowing your students and also knowing proven practices that we utilize with particular groups, special populations of students, in order to, and then we provide those practices and strategies so that our students achieve the highest level of learning, social emotional development, and achievement for all. Social emotional development, means that they can regulate themselves, they're self-aware, they have an awareness of others, they're able to time manage, make reasonable goals for themselves, reasonable risk-taking. So we are to plan for these things. The distinguished teacher, again, living in the student-centered actions where it's not about what makes it easiest for me, it's about what makes it best for the students. Instructional planning includes all lessons that connect students' prior knowledge, experiences, interest, and future learning experience expectations across content areas. So if you're a math teacher, or let's say you're doing social studies and you guys are talking about immigration and you're looking at the data from the Department of Immigration, and you're making a bar graph based on that data, you take that time to say, guys, we're doing math. This is like a math feature. We're taking the data that we have, representing it, graphically, and making sure that we're connecting whenever possible, making as many connections as possible for our students. Guidance for the students to apply their strengths and the backgrounds and knowledge, their life experience, and they might not always be able to easily make the connection. We have to help make the connection and help find opportunities for the students to identify their strengths and then practice them. Identify, how their background knowledge helps, and then get them to utilize that, enhance their learning through themselves. Opportunities for students to utilize their individual learning patterns, habits, and needs to achieve high levels of academics and social emotional success. So we want for the students to utilize, and we need to support, and we need to provide an opportunity for them to utilize, their strengths, their learning patterns, what works for them, their habits, but in a way that achieves high expectations. And at the other end, we have teacher-centered actions, which is needs improvement, right? And that's going to be few lessons that connect to students' prior knowledge and experiences, and the adjustments to address strengths and gaps in the background knowledge, life experiences, and few students, skills of a few students. So adjustments to address strengths, gaps in background knowledge and life experiences and skills of a few students. That means that maybe you only plan for a little bit, or you think that you have some really great oral speakers in your class, so you're going to have an oral presentation. Well, not everyone has that strength, and so you've created an entire project or an entire activity that's going to leave a lot of students unable to shine because that's not their inherent strength. So just taking those things into consideration is really important. Hello, everyone that just came in. So now we're at 1.4. We're still in the planning dimension. We're still in the planning. Again, the distinguished is expert level, instruction or teaching, where it's very student-centered actions. At the tail end, we have teacher-centered actions. And we haven't been looking at accomplished, proficient, and developing. That's where most of us live, right? Most of us live in developing, proficient, and accomplished, depending on where we are in our teaching journey. And that's fine. But the important part is to never stop reflecting on it. Never stop thinking about, am I doing all of the things that I need to be doing? And everything that you need to be doing is in this distinguished column in each of the levels. So in this dimension, the teacher plans engaging, flexible lessons that encourage higher order thinking, persistence, and achievement. And I want you to keep that in your mind when we look at the video. Is this lesson engaging? Is the activity from start to, because we're going to watch one in the activity that she does in the beginning and then how she continues on. I'd like for you to think about, does it present opportunities for achievement, for persistence, for higher order thinking? And I want for you to have some pen and paper next to you while we're watching the video, because I want for you to write down examples like, well, this is an example of them higher order thinking, or this is them of persistence, and this is them of achieving, because she does literally all of it, which is probably why they gave us that video. So let's take a look at this. In the distinguished area, which is the most student-centered actions, all of the instructional plans. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna, if you're not muted, please mute yourself. Okay. Distinguished. Opportunities for the student to generate questions that lead to further inquiry and promote complex, higher order thinking, problem solving, and real world application. Instructional groups based on the needs of all students and allows the students to take ownership of the group and individual accountability. The ability for all students to set goals, reflect on, evaluate, and hold each other accountable within instructional groups. Now, we might not see that today, and that's fine. Not everything will be shown there. You might have done that in some other lessons that we're not particularly seeing here, but best practice is we do want for the students to be reflecting on their goals, just like we need to be reflecting on our instruction, on our planning, on the activities that we do, on the assessments that we use, and on the instruction that we implement. So activities, resources, technology, and instructional materials that are all aligned to instructional purposes are varied and appropriate to ability levels of students and actively engage them in ownership of their learning. This last one I want for you to think about because she does a good job of this one. The students all seem very in charge of their own learning and have ownership over it. Going to the very, very needs improvement, living in the teacher-centered actions, the instructional planning will reflect that it encourages little to no complex or higher order thinking. Instructional groups are based on the needs of a few students, or maybe not any students. Maybe they just let them choose, pick 4 people, get in groups of 4. And then that means that instructional groups are not at all based on the needs of anyone. So even our GT students, even our most advanced students have needs. They get bored, and sometimes being in a group with a peer in which they're able to utilize their strengths to help is, better than sitting in a group where everyone is just going to be talking about, I don't know, what's going on the weekend. So lack of student understanding of their individual roles within instructional groups or activities. If they're confused at all, then we've done something wrong. We have to be very explicit with our directions and our expectations of the students, not just on a daily basis, but especially in these group situations. Activities, resources, and technologies and materials misalign to the instructional purposes. You won't want to have too many materials or have them be misaligned, because then it gets confusing for the students. They have to be appropriate and just the amount. So now we're in the instruction purpose, the instruction dimension. And this is what we're doing in the classroom. The teacher supporting all learners in the pursuit of high levels of academic and social emotional success. We're tasked with both. Provides opportunities for students to establish high academic, social, emotional expectations for themselves. Persists with the lesson until there is evidence that all students demonstrate mastery of the objective. We see this in the video. Provides opportunities for students to self-monitor and self-correct mistakes. I want for you guys to be looking for evidence of these, distinguished and accomplished teacher while we're watching the video, which is why we're sort of reviewing it right now. And this is all student-centered. Systematically enable students to set goals for themselves and monitor their progress over time. And again, at the tail end, really needing that improvement, a teacher-centered actions is going to set expectations that challenge few students. It's not very challenging, or it's confusing, and it's too challenging literally for everyone. You can be too easy and too hard. You have to be purposeful and have your expectations be attainable. And then provide the scaffolds if it's going to be challenging, please. Concludes the lessons. Even though there is evidence that few students demonstrate mastery of the objective, that means that you moved on with this lesson, even though not everyone got it. And we can't just let that be. Allow student mistakes to go unaddressed, or confront students' errors in a way that discourages further effort. There's nothing wrong with mistakes. And I used to tell my students that all the time, like, never be afraid to make a mistake in math class. Where do you think the best place to make a mistake is? In math class. Like, mistakes lead to the magic of learning. Like, when we make mistakes, then that's when we learn. We have to, and it's best if you realized you made a mistake and let me know. That's the best way. So, sort of getting upset with students, especially if you've gone over something, maybe 2 or 3 times and people are still making mistakes, do not diminish or like sort of shame this student, like, oh my God, we've been on this for 2 weeks, you still have it wrong. Don't do that, because we want the students to voice, I made a mistake, I need help with this. That is a good thing that happens, and we should never feel frustration for that. So rarely provides opportunities for students to take initiative for their own learning. We want for them to take initiative. It has to feel like it's theirs. And I want you to ask yourself when we're watching the video, does it feel like it's her class, their class, the student's class, or like, all their class together? It's a pretty nice little elementary math situation. And so this is about content knowledge and expertise. And I don't want to keep you guys too long. And I do want for us to watch the video and then come back and discuss it briefly and sort of see what did we see there, and what particular evidences did you see. Displays extensive content knowledge in all subjects, integrates learning objectives with other disciplines, content areas, and real-world experience, consistently anticipates possible student misunderstandings, and proactively develops teaching techniques to mitigate these concerns. Consistently provides opportunities for students to use different types of thinking: analytical, practice, creative, research-based. Sequences the instruction that allows the students to understand how the lesson fits in with the structure of the discipline, the state standards related to the content, and within real-world scenarios. So I'm just going to give you this freebie from watching it, but this teacher does an exceptional job of framing the lesson. She does a really great job of not only going over the objective, but just making it so detailed as to how we're going to show what we know, really aligning everything and elucidating, illustrating for the students before they enter the lesson itself what it is that they're going to do today. Conveys inaccurate content knowledge. That would be terrible. Like, you're just confusing them. Rarely integrates learning objectives with other disciplines, does not anticipate possible student misunderstandings, and provides few opportunities for students to use different types of thinking. This next part of instruction, dimension 2.3, the teacher clearly and accurately communicates to support persistent, deeper learning and effective effort. She does this in spades. We're not going to read through it because it's a lot, and we'll see if she does any of these when we come back. Establishes classroom practices, uses student misunderstandings as a strategic point in a lesson to highlight misconceptions. Always do that. Always make it a learning experience for everyone when it's even just one person's mistake. Provides explanations that are clear and coherent, and uses verbal and written communication that is clear and correct. We're going to see that in spades. A student asks questions at the creative, evaluative, and analysis levels. So those are the higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy. Remember, creative is like synthesis, the synthesis level, the evaluation level, and the analysis level, instead of, the basic like comprehension and response. Next, we have dimension 2.4, differentiates instruction, aligning methods and techniques to diverse student needs. We know what kind of diverse student needs we have, but I want for you to see how is she helping? How is she really helping multiple diverse, special populations in her classroom. And I don't even know what her classroom makeup is, but I know it's diverse because of the things that she's doing. Adapts lessons with a wide variety of instructional strategies to address individual needs of all students, consistently monitors the quality of student participation and performance, always provides differentiated instructional methods and content to ensure students have the opportunity to master what is being taught. So that differentiated instruction, we're going to see that as well. Consistently prevents students' confusion and disengagement by addressing learning and or social emotional needs of all students. So the other end, we have provides one-size-fits-all lessons without meaningful differentiation, rarely monitors the quality of student participation and performance, which means you're not assessing them, rarely provides differentiated instruction methods and content, which might mean you're not predefining things, you're not using manipulatives, you're not using visuals, people are not talking, you don't have think pair shares, like lots of stuff is not going on in your classroom. Does not recognize when students become confused or disengaged. So we obviously are not going to watch, and I think that there's one more. Monitor and adjust. We'll come back to these ones. And then there's the learning environment. We're not really focused on the learning environment right now, although it's very, very important. We are focused on the instruction of it, what she's doing that's so well, and being able to discuss and highlight those particular things. So we're going to go to the calibration resources, and we are going to fourth grade math, and it's this one right here. Okay, just to review, guys, I want for you everyone to have a paper and pen. You're going to watch. We're not going to watch the whole thing. It's 41 minutes long. We're not going to do that. We're going to watch a good chunk of it, and we are going to dissect what she does really good in each of those areas. Now, we can't tell all of it. You know, some of the planning stuff that she goes on, we are not going to see her doing it, but we know that she's done it, and there's evidence of that based on what we're watching. So pay close attention.
All right, boys and girls, this morning, what we're going to do during language arts
Wait a minute, this is not it.
is we're going to have one whole group lesson, where we do one together. And
sorry, guys, I think I did the wrong.
We're going to work on.
This is the wrong one. Sorry. I'm like, this is not. Maybe I'm doing that. Is it this one? Oh, it must be this one. Sorry, guys. It's like, that is not the lady, and that is not the classroom. Yes, this is what we're going to be doing.
Alrighty, guys, today we are going to be talking, remember I told you guys this morning, we are going to be talking about TEK 4.2G. We are going to be relating fractions and decimals together. Nothing new, we've done this since the beginning of the year. So let's go ahead and read our CO together. Remember, our CO is what we are going to be learning today. We read our CO every morning, we read it beautifully. So let's go ahead and read what we will be learning today together, guys. I will relate decimals to fractions that name tens and hundreds. Okay, those tens and hundreds. What do we call those lanes? Those are our decimals, and those are our place values that we are looking at. Remember, since the beginning of the year, we have been learning decimals. We've been learning that we can turn those decimals into what? What can they be turned into? Fractions. Are those a whole part of a number? Are they complete? No. What are they? They're like half of a number. They're like half of a number. They're tiny. They're inside those. They're inside those numbers. They're smaller. So we're going to be talking about those decimals and turning them into fractions and representing them in some other fun ways that I know you guys like to use. So let's go ahead and read our LO to figure out how are we going to show what we're learning. What are we going to be doing today? So let's read our LO all together, same way again. I will work with a here to represent and discuss the different ways to represent decimals and fractions and justify reasoning. Okay, who wants to share something that stood out about that statement, Alexa? Justify? Ooh, justify. I bet that's what Ebony was going to say too. You love to share about that part. What does justify mean, Alexa? Like defend your answer. To defend your answer. Remember, every day in here, we don't want to just give the right answer, right? No. We need to also do what? Defend it. To explain it. And if you don't do that, they're thinking you're gonna be cheating. Yeah, sometimes when you guys don't show me work, I'm like, where's the work? I don't know. I don't want to make that assumption, but I want to see what's in your head. Okay? I always want to see. You can show me with your words. You can show me with what's on your paper. Are we going to be working by ourselves today?
No.
No. What does Arello say? We are working with a partner to do what? And justify. So we are going to be working with a partner to show those different ways that we represent decimals and fractions. Real quick, we're going to do a quick little review. Hey, turn and talk to your partner real quick. Which part of my fraction is the numerator? Turn and talk to your partner real quick. Okay, let's turn back to the board, please. Lucky duck number 12. Which part is the top part of my fraction? What's that called? Oh, which one? The numerator. Raise your hand if that's what your partner told you or you told your partner. Oh my goodness, you guys are so smart. The numerator is the top part of the fraction that shows how many are shaded. Okay. Try and talk to your partner real quick. This should take 2 seconds. What is the bottom part of a fraction called? Oh my gosh, I heard the right answer. Lucky duck number 9. What is the bottom part of a fraction called? The denominator. Is he correct, guys? Give me a thumbs up. Yes, he is. Hey, real quick, y'all know this one. What is a proper fraction? Try to talk to your partner real quick. Ooh, I heard an excellent answer over here. Lane, what is a proper fraction?
The proper fraction is when the numerator is less than the denominator.
Give me a thumbs up if he's correct. Yes, thank you guys. Couldn't have said it any better. And I love that vocabulary of using numerator and denominator that we just reviewed right now. That is when the numerator, what is shaded, is less than our denominator, the total pieces. Now turn and talk to your partner. What's an improper fraction now? Can tell me that one, Miles. Tell me real quick, what's an improper fraction?
Greater than the denominator.
That is when the numerator, thank you for that vocabulary again, our number on the top, is greater than our denominator. So what does that mean? What do we have with an improper fraction? What would we have, Alexa?
A whole?
We have a whole number here, but I'm going to represent it just yet. We're representing it as a fraction right now, okay? But what's a mixed number? Turn it to your partner. Tell your partner real quick. What is a mixed number? I'm going to call on Evelyn because when she raised her hand, she shot Ebony. She shot out of her seat. What is a mixed number, Ebony?
It's kind of like the.
What does it have?
It has the whole number.
It has the whole number. And what is?
And it also has the fractions.
It also has the fraction. Raise your hand if that's what your partner told you or you told your partner. Great job, guys. It has our whole number, a whole piece shaded, along with our fraction. Okay, now I want y'all to think about. This is something we've been talking about and thinking about since the beginning of the year. How do fractions relate to decimals? Talk to your partner real quick. Get some ideas from them. Okay, to infinity. Thank you, guys. Lucky duck number 16. Carly, what is something that you and Layla talked about?
Fractions relate to decimals. How it can, because if you have 1 and 52/100, the 52 is with the 100 because the 52 is like together with that 2.
Uh-huh.
And kind of like.
So this is what you're saying, right? This is our decimal. 1. Let's read this together, class. 1 and 52 hundredths. What do we do to make sure that we are in the hundredth place? What do we do, Darren? What do we need to do here?
We can label the 5 as a tenths and the 2 is the.
It's in the hundredths. I think that's kind of where Harley is going. So if we have 2 all the way in the hundredths place, we're going all the way into the hundredths. So if we have a fraction, what would our denominator have to be?
5200, like you put the 100 on the bottom, then it's not the hundreds.
So then what would go in my numerator?
The 52.
The 52. Am I all done here?
No, you need to add that one.
How would I add the 1? What is it?
Right beside the 52 and the 100.
Right beside it, because what is that one again?
The
The whole number. Thank you. Anybody else want to share what they were thinking about, what they were telling their partner, how fractions relate to decimals? Mendy, what would you like to share? Now we're in the 2 and 5/10. Okay, we're in the 10th place. In front of it, because that's our whole number. You said 2 and 5/10 in the tenths. And then the 2 is our whole number. What would we do with our fraction now if we are in the 10th place? The big 2, and then our denominator would be what number? The hundredths. Am I in the hundredths place here? I labeled. I'm in the 10th. So what will my denominator be?
It'll be a 10.
It'll be a 10. Mendy, what would my numerator be if I have a 2-digit in the 10th place? A 5. Is she correct?
Yeah.
Yes. Now I want y'all to think, how does this relate to our everyday lives? Why is this important? Why might this be important, Carter?
Because sometimes you could buy something and decimals could relate to money, and you could turn decimals into fractions.
Do y'all use money a lot? Do y'all like money a lot?
Yes.
With money, when we have some change, we have some nickels and dimes. What place values do we use that those go into? Our tens, our hundreds. And what if we want to know how much out of $5 do we have with our change? We may need to turn those into fractions. Yes, real quick, Lane.
Yeah, you say, and the hundredth place is like the pennies, and the tenth place is like.
You are getting that answer. Yes, the hundreds place is like our what coin? Pennies. And the tenth place is like our dimes. Lane's getting ahead. I have that right here, and this is not in your chart. Y'all have seen this chart before.
One more to go.
And which one is the one whole, Ebony? Dollar. It is our dollar. If we were in base 10, guys, and I have, how many squares would I have here? How many total? 100 squares. And if all of this is shaded, what do I write above it? A 1, because it is one whole. If I have this nice, what do I call this right here? It's for base 10. It's a long, and that represents our tens place. And if I just have it's a unit. And Lane said it's represented by our penny, and it's what place? Our hundredth place. We can represent these decimal places by using a fraction, like we talked about earlier. Okay. We can also use it in words. Let's go ahead and read this decimal all together, guys. 1 and 4/10. Let's read this fraction. 1 and 4/10. Did we say the same thing?
Yes.
But these look different.
Yeah, but they're
But they're still the same. Let's see if the words match the decimal that we just read. Let's read this word form. 1 and 4/10. Are we still saying the same number but representing it in a different way?
Yes.
Yes. Now let's look at this last one. Let's look at this beautiful picture, this model. If I have a bar completely shaded in, what do I write it as, Jared? One whole. And how many pieces out of the 10 total pieces do I have shaded? Ebony? 3, 4. 4 out of 10, 4/10. So if I were to add these two together, I would get 1 and 4/10. Are these all the same way of saying this number right here? Yes, they are. Okay. Go ahead and erase this real quick. Now, I want y'all to take out your gray erase marker, please. Have your board nice and clear. I'm going to show you guys how we label this number 1 up here. Let's go ahead and read this decimal first. Number 1 says 1 and 9. I heard some hundreds. Okay, watch me, guys. Remember, especially on our warm-ups, on our tests, on our daily work, I always want to see you guys doing what 3 most important things? Label, label, label. That 9, I'm going to draw my little line and I'm going to label it. What place value is that 9 in? The tenths. Now let's read this number again, please. 1 and 9 tenths. I didn't hear anybody say hundredths. Once we labeled it, we knew exactly what place value it was in. Thank you, Alexa. Okay, now I'm going to put on another problem on the board. And I want you to write number 2 with a partner real quick as a fraction. Go ahead and write number 1, Mason. You can scoot over next to Darian and you can sit next to Darian, please. Into a fraction. Yes, Patricia. You need a marker? Okay, check with your partner. Excellent job, boys. You need your inhaler? Want to go to the nurse real quick? Patricia, can you walk into the nurse, please? Thank you. Good. We'll go to your board when you are complete. Thank you. Make sure you get a thumbs up from your partner. Thank you. Work with Jay Anthony, please. Thank you to my pair in the back. Carly, still going, showing more work. Thank you, ladies in the back. Excellent job. Excellent job.
Where would you get that from?
Okay, guys, everybody look back up here to infinity and beyond. Okay, what is my whole number on number 2? That's my whole number, Darian. The whole number is a 5, and I'm going to label what place value is that 3 in? The tenths place. So now when I write my fraction, I'm going to write my whole number first, and you said my whole number is a 5, so I'm going to do a big 5. What is my denominator going to be, Layla? 10. Good, or 10. Because what place value am I in? The tenths. And what will my numerator be? 3, because I have a 3-digit. Okay. Raise your hand if that is what you got and that is what your partner got. Excellent job, guys. Go ahead and clear your board real quick, please. Okay. Now I want you guys to try on your own. I want y'all to read this question. It says, what is the correct fraction for, I'm not going to read this number, I'm not going to give it away, but what I would like to see on your board is to write this number again and label it. Show me the work, Maya. Ebony, excellent job. Ebony has written the number on the board and has labeled under each place value to know exactly how to write it as a fraction. Give you guys about 15 more seconds. Let's see, Darian, check your answer choice. I need a fraction, sir. Excellent job, Mason. Put your board down. Excellent job, Victor. Excellent job, Madeline. Let me see, Jared. Excellent job. Excellent job. Put your board down. Go ahead and clear it. Excellent job. Excellent job. Up. Yes, excellent job. Michaela, look at yours again. Sorry. Carter, pick an answer choice, please. Lane, what's your letter again, Lane? Something with you, Giovanni. Good job, Miles. Excellent job, Mindy. See what happened? Excellent job. Get yours again. Make sure you labeled it. Look at what you labeled. Make sure your fraction matches what you labeled. Look at your denominator. Great job, Maya. Great job, Lane. Excellent job, Emily. Great job, Darian. Good job, Jay Anthony. There you go, Michaela. Was he okay, Patricia? Did you take it? Okay, thank you for walking him. Check your letter, Patricia. Thank you, Carter. Okay, guys, real quick, what I saw on Ebony's board, she labeled that 0 as what place value? 10. That 8 is in the hundreds. So if I'm in the hundreds, what will my denominator be? 100. Now Patricia has it. Thank you. What is my numerator going to be? An 8. What answer choice matches what I wrote on the board? Option B. Some of you guys accidentally chose C. You made an 80. Is this 80?
It would have been in the eight.
It would have been in the 10th place with a 0. Is that what we have? No. Not C. 0, 8. Have you ever had a fraction like that? No. We don't have a 0 in the numerator. I'm going through A. Are we in the 10th place, Ebony? No. What place value are we in? 100. So we need that 100 in the denominator. Gotcha. Hey, real quick. Now we are going to turn a fraction into a decimal. Okay, let's go ahead and read this fraction all together, class. Go ahead and clear your boards. When I point to it, we'll say it all together, okay? 3 and 5/10. So now that we've said that out loud, I'm going to set up my decimal. Do I have a whole number here from this fraction? What's my whole number, Ebony?
3.
It's a 3, so I'm going to write a 3 in what place value?
In the 10.
In the ones place. Thank you. And then I'm going to do my decimal because that decimal represents the and. If I have a 10 in my denominator, what place value am I going into? The 10th place. So I'm going to label it. I'm going to label it as the 10th. And what do I have as my numerator? A 5. So what is going to go in the 10th place? A 5. Let's go ahead and read this decimal all together, class. 3 and 5/10. Let's read the fraction one last time. 3 and 5/10. Are they the same number?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to stop it here. We still have about 20 minutes to go. She continues to do quite well with her instruction, but I'd like to go back and have a conversation, go back to the actual rubric and take a look at discuss. You guys can unmute yourselves. What did you see of note, like of value that you saw? Let's begin in the beginning. What did you notice that was
She kind of went over the objectives.
she did go over the objectives. She explained the objectives. She read it out. She had the students chorale read it together. Everyone read it. And then she explained particular words and had students explain, right? She had them explain what justify meant. And what else did she do that we saw was part of, what we would think is accomplished or distinguished teaching? What
She
about
had them think per share, like she would ask them a question and then let them think per share and then answer as a whole group. They would go over it afterwards.
Absolutely. So that think or share she utilized so incredibly well. And she's using it in the I'm assuming that she's already paired them based on need, right? So we're going to assume that they're perfectly paired to be helpful to each other, but having them discuss, speak to your partner, the words that they were using. I don't know if you heard them. Some of the kids were difficult to hear, but we had the students, saying that an improper fraction is when, or they would say when the numerator is larger than the denominator, when the denominator is greater than the numerator. So they were able to actually, define themselves and practice together. What else did we see that really worked during her instruction? Did you see any ways for calling on students or any
She had the ducks, kind of like the equity sticks, but she used them in the duck forms. So maybe she has the desk labeled by numbers.
Probably. I bet you there's a duck with a number on the desk, and that's your lucky duck number, right? And so instead of like the popsicle sticks or the whatever other way, I like the lucky duck. You're the lucky duck, and that really helps with engagement. Those type of situations where you do have, I would use the popsicle sticks like in high school and in junior high. We wouldn't always use it, but like I would have them and just know that I can go to my popsicle sticks. We'll start pulling out things, but you have to be ready and engaged. And certainly there was no question that all of the kids were absolutely engaged on the assignment. What else did we see? Do you think that she was helpful for English language learners? And in what ways do you think she would be, that she planned specifically to have language learners in the class?
Well, one thing that I saw is that she incorporated visuals. They say in the material that is very important, the visuals. With
Absolutely.
the pennies, the orders.
She had visuals for all, except for the practice problems, but that mini instruction that she gave, even the review that she did before she started had that pizza visual, and then the blocks, the tens and the hundreds place, the money visual, the graphics that she utilized. What else might have been important or specifically, planned for ELL students?
I'm not sure if this is one, but that she kind of connected it to like the real world kind of.
Absolutely. Connection to the real world helps with ELL students, helps with special ed students, it literally helps with everyone. Her going over the vocabulary before they began the lesson is specifically for ELL students. And it also is very helpful for our special ed students and even our struggling native English speakers, having that vocabulary reinforced and reviewed before we're getting into the lesson. Even if you've done it already, even if she'd already gone over that stuff, having that repetition and then having them utilize it back.
I have a quick question. Is that
Sure.
called pre-teach, or what was that called?
Yeah,
Like when
that's
you
right.
kind of, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Pre-teaching. And what she was doing, with her like questions before with the little pizza and saying like, what, because she asked them, what is the numerator? What is the numerator being? What is this, the top number? And they said numerator. And then what was the bottom number? And they said denominator. And then they utilized them in in their defining of the other math words or math concepts. And that pre-teaching of vocabulary, not only does it allow for students to gain access to the language, but it helps center them, helps build background knowledge for the lesson that we're going to do. It helps me pre-know stuff before I need to actually know it. Very, very useful. And she did that really well. Her utilization of the think, pair, share activity itself in between her direct instruction, in between them doing the problems, allows the students to practice utilizing that academic specific language. It allows the students to practice their math skill in a low risk setting with a pair, with a partner who can negotiate meaning. And it also, well, let's talk about it. What about her assessments? What ways in which did you see her like sort of assessing the students, formal or informal?
By asking questions, Ms. Sauceda, she was asking questions to the students. I like how she engaged with the students.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
She was
find the assessment.
asking questions. What other ways did she check for understanding? Remember,
the students were discussing with each other.
Yeah, because after the think, pair, share, she might call on only one pair, right? Or maybe a couple of times she called on like two pairs to see what they said, but
I'm
not
not sure
all
what-
pairs. She said, okay, guys, how many of you got that answer with your pairs? Give me a thumbs up. And everybody would have to put her thumbs up. Or she said, show me your board, like show me your board in the air. And then she was like, until everyone got it right, she did not move on until there were some students that made mistakes. And then they discussed reasons why those mistakes might have been made. What other sort of non-instructional things did you see her do that you thought, okay, she handled this well?
I'm not sure if this is one, but she kind of scaffold students' answers to like the correct answer, or she would ask another student and then go maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. She especially for the ones that were struggling with the tens place or not seeing it, she did, and you could see the students around them helping them. She also had a non-instructional need. One of the students needed his inhaler. It was very simple. It's not a huge emergency. It didn't distract from anything. She just said, cool, Patty or whoever that was, can you please help him go to the nurse? And I like that, because if the student already knows they need their inhaler, you don't want them to like have an issue in the middle of the hallway and be by themselves. It's always best practice to have somebody go with them and just come back and let me know how it went, and you know, and then I know that the student made it there safely. So she handled that easily. There was no, you know, big to do about it. It was just very quick, and then it was handled and the students were back, you know, in a bit. So she handled that really well. What else did you see or did you notice from her instruction that you liked? What about her use of technology? Was it appropriate
Yes, it was
and helpful? Yeah, absolutely.
PowerPoint.
Yeah, the PowerPoint, the being able to like putting it on the dry erase board and having them write it right there, and then having the students, they themselves, those materials that they had were very useful and appropriate for her task, right? Having those dry erase boards. I really like the dry erase boards. The students really like dry erase boards. I mean, if I was going to teach decimals for the first time, I would have parents and bring in myself some cans of shaving cream, because it's a way to clean the desks. The old desks, it's what we would do. We'd have the students bring in shaving cream, or we'd bring in shaving cream from the dollar store, and we'd let them clean their desks, right? Everybody's desk would get shiny and clean by the end of the year. But students also like to use that to practice spelling, vocabulary, and especially math problems. And so I would do something fun. It's tactile, and it's kind of like a dry erase board, but in reverse. You have to like make a little thin layer, and then you write your problem with your finger on your desk. And it's fun, and then it also cleans the desk. But finding ways to use tactile, sort of kinesthetic things, even with a dry erase board, is a different feel, a different experience, if you will, than just having the pen and paper, the paper and pencil, because you're racing and writing again and correcting very easily and like holding it up, and it's just a different feel, a different kinesthetic activity to pencil and paper. So she did a lot as far as diversity, and making sure that the class was 100% engaged, that everybody achieved mastery, that she was like consistently all the way throughout, starting from when we're talking about language and what the learning objective is, all the way through to the end when they were actually practicing, getting them to utilize the vocabulary, making sure that everybody was on the same page and had mastery. When they leave this class, you can bet that all of them have a really strong handle on decimals and fractions, and how, you know, decimals sort of live inside of a number, and fractions live inside of this whole number, and just all of the ways in which she made connections to the real world and the language. It was spot on 100%. So this is where we're going to end today. On Saturday, we're going to have a new list of questions to go over that will help us sort of review. Hopefully we'll be able to pick out best practices for many of these ideas that we looked at. Does anyone have questions or any final comments that they wanted to say about, you know, today's lesson and what we went over regarding what is expected of us? We didn't go over all of the TTESS rubric. There is still one dimension of or one section of dimension 2, which we can go over briefly on Saturday. And then the learning environment. And the learning environment is really important as well. Remember, it doesn't matter what type of plan we have. If our learning environment is going to be sort of not conducive to engagement, not conducive to like a feeling of safety or me feeling welcome, then I'm not going to participate, and I'm certainly not going to learn, no matter how, you know, amazing the lesson or the plan is. So a lot of the learning environment comes from the teacher themselves, them making it a welcoming and fun academic place. Now, we only saw 18 minutes of this teacher's classroom, but I can say that her students probably love her classroom. Like, she was very engaging. The classroom looked fun. I saw a little drawing up the side, and it was, I guess it was during Christmas time, but it was like 8 lights until a reward. And so I guess every day they're lighting up a light bulb when they, I don't know, achieve a particular goal. I don't know because I just saw the thing, but I know that she's motivating them externally and internally as well with the types of lessons that she's doing. The students wanted to get the right answer. Nobody looked like they didn't want to try if they got it wrong. Everybody was ready and excited to answer and share their answer. And that's what you want, especially that's what you want in a math class. So I was like, certainly very accomplished instruction in my opinion, and in the opinion of TTESS, because they used it as one of their examples. So we're gonna just sort of review briefly the learning environment within that that TTESS rubric, and then we will do some questions together over instruction, planning, and environment, over those, you know, dimensions, those domains, which is essentially domain 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you, Ms.
got a very
Sauceda.
good
I
thing.
really like the video, Ms. Sauceda, and how it helped us a lot, because in the PPR questions, we need to know all of these steps. So it really
Yeah.
helped. It
Good.
really helped.
I'm glad. It's good for us
Yes.
to be able to see the things that we talk
Yes.
about, you know, in theory, to see them in practice.
Yes. Thank you so much for everything, Ms. Sauceda.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Ms. Sauceda, I got a quick question. For example,
Yes.
you became static if like just doing problems in a notebook, in a square notebook, in a traditional notebook.
I'm sorry, what did you say? Would it be
Like it will be a kinesthetic activity if they will be working on a regular notebook.
yeah, it would
Doing
be
problems
fine.
on a
Yeah, it would
notebook.
be fine.
That's
I mean,
considered
not all,
kinesthetic.
yeah, not all classes. It would still be accomplished. It just, you know, you lose the sort of tactile kinesthetic activity with the board, because you're holding it up, you're erasing it, you're writing it down, you're showing your friend, and it's more like active. Which is good for that age group and grade level. Remember, it was 4th grade. They need more kinesthetic, tactile stuff. So while paper wouldn't be wrong, it wouldn't be the best that was available. And for the purposes of the the PPR, if an answer choice had like the students write down, you know, their practice problems on a piece of paper and show their partner, or the students write down their answers on a dry erase board and show their partner and then hold it up to show the teacher, the dry erase board is going to be the better answer. But we don't all have that in our classroom. Mr. Barnhill, the Saturday class starts at 11. It's from 11 to 12:30. But you're welcome to join us whenever you can. If you can't make it like when it starts, that's fine as well. I typically, if I remember, video the classes. Absolutely. So you guys let me know if you need the link for Saturday, or if you need the link to sign up for the Saturdays and Wednesdays to come. Thank you for your patience. I was ridiculously exhausted after Halloween. We just really walked miles around the neighborhood. No, but I was out for the count on Wednesday and it was not feeling well. So I appreciate y'all's patience with the schedule change. And then I had another class at 6:30. Yes.
I just want to mention, Mr. Sauceda, the teacher has a very great class management. All the students
Absolutely.
are engaged, and I think she works a lot with discipline. All of them are just participating, interacting each other. It's a great class.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what that shows me, like as an administrator, if I were to go into that classroom and I were to be appraising her, I would know that she has routines and procedures so set in place. Like she has practiced this. They went over this in the beginning of the year and she's been consistent with the things that she does. So they know. There was very little confusion as to like, what are we doing next? Who do we have to talk to? Who's my partner? None of that. It was like clear that they knew who their partner was and they knew what like she was asking of them and what to do in the event that somebody needs you know, to go somewhere. The little girl said he needs his inhaler, and then right away it was taken care of. Like everybody knew what to do. So yeah, she has very good classroom management, and we can tell that she's worked consistently with these students. So yeah, she did an excellent job. I don't know her, but we commend her for her service to education. And so I will see you guys on Saturday. And thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you.
Thank
You guys are
you.
the real MVPs.
Thank you,
Yes,
Ms.
I will
Sauceda.
definitely send you the link.
Will you be sending the link on Saturday as well?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank you, Ms.
absolutely.
Sauceda.
Bye,
Thank you for
guys.
everything.
Yes. Have a beautiful evening, guys.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Feliz día.